Hi, welcome to the events module on how to create a simple event. So there's lots of different ways of setting up an event on Silverbear, and you can have really complex events like conference events with different dates, different packages, different pricing, those sorts of things. For the purpose of this video though, we're just going to focus on a very straightforward, simple event just to get you started in creating your own events. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is be on the events work area. So just to remind you, you change that in the bottom left hand corner of your screen. So you can choose events, the events work area, and then we're going to choose the manage events menu option. Now the events menu is really large, so you'll notice that if you just scroll down, lots and lots and lots of choices. It's actually divided into sub-menus, and the one that we're focused on at the moment is this event tasks sub-menu and the manage events option. When we go into manage events, you'll notice that it looks a little bit different than your normal CRM screens. It's presented slightly differently. So this is because the events system is partly controlled by a complementary system called Evocos that works hand in hand with Silverbear to allow you to create and manage your events. There are many screens that follow the normal CRM pattern to do with events, but for these creating events screens, these are all this Evocos presentation. So just bear that in mind. You won't have exactly the same sort of processes and functionality as you're used to using in your main CRM screens. Okay, so we're going to create an event. So we're going to choose this option. So we're not going to create a conference event. We're just going to create a regular event. Okay, and I just want to draw your attention to a couple of things. One, this screen is actually really big, so I'm just going to zoom in a bit. You'll probably want to do this on a large screen if possible, if you have one. Otherwise, you'll just need to do a bit of scrolling. Okay, so we have some tabs along the top here, and these kind of take us through the journey of creating our event. There's an awful lot to fill out, so if you need to, you can of course stop and then come back and fill out more information on your event at any time. Just please don't forget to press save. So if I scroll down to the bottom, you see I have save and close. If you don't save your work, then you'll lose it. So if you exit out this screen, go somewhere else, you will lose the content, the choices that you have made. I recommend you press save, certainly when you've finished each tab, if not maybe when you finished a section, particularly when we get into the description and the email type areas. The other thing I just want to point out is that there's an awful lot of fields on some of these screens, particularly the overview page. Now we're not going to go into every single field. We're just going to focus on the sort of the crucial ones. But if you want to find out more about what a field does, what it's for, you have these tooltip options here. So these little question marks, just hover over them. It gives you a bit more information about what that field does, what it's looking for. So do spend some time exploring this area, getting used to the different options available. But conversely, you may just want to feel very sort of simple first test event, just to put in the real basics. Okay, so let's begin. So we're on the overview page, which holds the critical information about this event. So what it's called, for example. So let's make a start. Okay, so event title. Now we're going to create a professional development type event, which is what a lot of organizations are doing. They're using the event system to create sort of training programs, training courses for people to attend online and in real life when that's a possibility. So okay, let's choose the event title. So let's have a marketing with Silverbear event. Event. Okay. So I just want to talk to you about events and event dates at this stage. So the event is like the product that we're selling. So the product in this case is an event called Marketing with Silverbear. Now I might choose to run that event several different times a year. If it was a live event, I might want to run it at different venues. So I might want to run it at different regional centres. So what we're setting up here is the details for the overall product, things like what's the product name, for example. But further into the sort of journey of creating this this particular event product and its dates, we're going to be selecting the dates that it actually takes place. So it could happen once, it could happen every month. You can set up as many event dates as you want, and you don't have to set them up all at once. So if I wanted to see how this was going to sell, I wanted to see how popular it was, I might just set up a couple of dates to put on the website, and then people can book on them. And then if it starts to look really popular, I can just add some extra dates later. So if you've got these routine events that you're running really regularly, like a new members event or something like that, you might just have to set up the bulk of the detail once, and then you can kind of keep adding those new dates to it. And you'll see how that works as we progress through. Okay, so I'm going to put a short description in now. This actually, in standard Silverbear product, this doesn't appear on your portal. It's potentially might be different for you, but in most cases this doesn't appear. Just be aware that it's maybe you've had some configuration where it does appear, so just bear in mind it could be customer facing, but in most cases it isn't. So webinar to explain all the marketing functions. Okay, and then the event type we're going to choose webinar. Okay, so we could choose professional development there. It can sort of overlap here. Event you would probably choose for a non kind of training type event, but it's obviously up to you how you choose to use those event types. Okay, so the event manager, we have to choose an event manager. Now, event managers and also venues, when we get there, are set up outside of this screen. On this screen, you just get to choose from the available options. So those sorts of records are how to set them up is covered in the events communication and advanced setup module. So we're not looking at that in this particular video. So you choose from the options that you have in Event Manager, and this is basically the individual at your organisation that's looking after this event, and they'll get sent an email if this event approaches its threshold, for example. So we're going to leave this event as dormant for the moment because we don't want it to appear on our website until we've actually finished working on it. So just a note on that, your website will get updated routinely, not instantly, so with your events. So it might be once a day, it might be quicker than that, but it won't happen instantly. Before you make your event live, we'd recommend that you tested it anyway, then make it live, and then obviously it will appear on your portal. You might want to check with your consultant if you're in the early stages of your project to find out when that refresh happens, how often your portal gets updated. Or of course, if you're already live, you could contact support. Okay, so the capacity we're going to put in at, let's say, 100. Now, if we've only got one event date, or all of our event dates are exactly the same, then putting in the capacity and the threshold and the waiting list size as well means that we've kind of done that work already for our different event dates. So if we put them in here, this information will get translated, it will get copied across to the individual event dates. At that stage, we can override them. So, it might be a good idea to put them in here, and then if necessary, you could override it at each individual event date level if you wanted to. Okay, so we put in a waiting list size because we're going to run a waiting list. If people can't book on straight away, the system will record people who have shown an interest in this particular event, and then we could book them on if we get any cancellations. Okay, so we've got contact phone number and email that will appear on the portal for people to know who to contact if they've got a query. Okay, so you've got, again, use your tooltips to get a sense of whether or not you want to put stuff in there. Okay, so allow book is a critical one. So this will determine whether or not it can be booked on the website. So we're going to choose yes. Okay, and we're going to just go through a normal default booking journey, just the straightforward, simple event booking process. but you do have these other options for more complex events. Single bookings only we're going to take out, because we don't want people to only be able to book this event. If they want to, we want them to be able to book 10 other events at the same time. So let's take that out. Okay, and then I just want to draw your attention to a couple more kind of really important fields. Send joining instructions, yes or no. This determines whether a communication goes out regarding what happens on the day, travel arrangements, registration arrangements, venue, accommodation details, that sort of stuff. Do you want that communication, the joining instructions email, to go out as soon as they book, or do you want it to go out later at a time that you control? A lot of cases you want to choose to send it out closer to the actual date of the event. You don't want it to go out instantly, because you might not have exactly confirmed those details. And also these are sorts of emails that just go missing in people's inbox. So you probably are going to choose no, but you might want them to just go out straight away, particularly if it's a last minute event. So you can choose yes. Entirely up to you. Okay, so CPD is CPD points will, if you set them here, then if they actually attend this event, the delegates will automatically get allocated those points onto their contact record card. So let's give 20 points for this. Okay, and I'm going to press save. Now, if I needed to, I could now go and do something else and then come back to this once I'd got maybe a little bit more information about how my event was going to work, or I can continue. So we're now on the description tab, and this is where we put in the information that is going to be shown on your portal that your customers, your website visitors are going to see. So this is where we put in some information about your event. Now, you don't have to complete all of these sections. The description is the most important. Things like target audience and main points. If you leave them empty, then they just won't appear. Otherwise, you'll have a section called target audience and a section called main points. So it's kind of up to you whether or not you feel that's appropriate. You could kind of put all that information in the description. So in the description, we can just type. So we can just type in sort of just basic text. A webinar designed to help you make the most out of your Silverbear marketing functions. Okay, and so we'd obviously be putting in a bit of detail there. So if we wanted to edit this, so make it a little bit richer, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more reflective of our branding, we can press editor. And then we open up this text editor here. Now, let me just zoom in a bit because that's pretty small. So let's just zoom in. And then you can see this is kind of a very standard text editor system. So we could, for example, change the fonts. We can make it bigger. We could put some bits in italics. We've also got things like justification. We've got bullet points. We've got all those sorts of things. So it's probably a good idea to have a play around with this and really get a feel for the different things you can do to make this, as I say, reflect your branding, how you normally present yourself, your company. Okay, so then if we just press update, that's important. We need to press update. We then go back to these sections here, and you can see you've sort of got some like sort of HTML type coding going on in there. So we're going to actually leave the target audience and the main points header and the footer, but obviously you could complete those. It's entirely your choice. It's always worth having a play around, setting up, then seeing what it looks like, and then coming back and adjusting it. The terms and conditions, you would probably want to use these. If we just choose default, what it will do is it will populate the bottom section with whatever our default terms and conditions are. Default terms and conditions are one of those things that we cover in that communications, that advanced setup module. We can edit these ones anyway though. So we could put something about, well, you can cancel. If you cancel before 7 days, then you will get a refund. or how to, the best way you want them to cancel, that sort of stuff. So again, you'll probably want to have a little experiment with that, but what the best content to put in is. Now, don't forget to save. Really important, especially after going to all that work. And then we want to go to dates. Now, as discussed earlier, you can have different occurrences of this same event. So the event is like the product. The event dates are when they actually take place. So the actual, events themselves, I guess. So if we press add date now, even though we've only got one date, we still need to go through this process because we need to obviously put in when it happens and things like that. Okay, so now we're in the date setup screen. So this is where we can choose our venue for our particular event. Now, obviously, this is an online event. So we might have a venue that just says online. So venues are set up elsewhere. We can only choose what we've got set up already here. So it's the sort of thing that if you found you didn't have your venue, you'd probably just keep completing the screen and then maybe save it and then come back to it once your venue is all set up. And again, just see that advanced setup guide when available for information on how to do that. Okay, so we could choose a room if it's a super large, maybe conference centre, or maybe even like just a hotel, might have different function rooms. So we could choose the room there. And again, that's set up when the venue's set up. Okay, and we're going to focus on this from, to, and register. Okay, so the event text is something that, again, will be discussed in that communication guide. Let's just focus on this. So from, to, and register gives the dates and times for the start date, the finish date, and the time you want them to basically sign in. So register, time, and date. So this is just a one-day affair, but of course it could be running over more than one day. For sort of multi-day events, often you'll want to use conferences for those if you're doing lots of different sessions and packages and stuff. But you can also have multi-day simple events as well. So let's put our registration time just a little bit early. And this is the sort of piece of information that could appear on those joining instructions that we discussed earlier. And here is where we can override the event capacity threshold waiting list side if we wanted to. So if we'd set these at the event level, they're pulled into the event date, but we needed to change them, we can do that and it will just affect this one individual date. Okay, so just moving down, we do want to allow wait list. That's fine. We don't want overbooking to happen automatically. That's sort of the key things we want to fill in there. So again, don't forget, you've got these tool tips so you can kind of work through and look at every individual field if you wanted to. So let's just choose save. Great. And then, which is really good, we get a message that says that we've created that event date. So that's great, good news. Okay. So just to go back to one thing. So if I just press edit here, just wanted to get that saved and in there. So we could just talk briefly about pricing because that's where we are next. I've just scrolled down to the bottom of the event date section. Now you can see here I have the opportunity to set up prices and actually discounts as well for this individual event date. So we could do that if we wanted to, or we can have a pricing structure for the event product itself that then is applied to any of the event dates. So what I mean by that is you could have an event which was something like maybe a networking event that you had different dates for, but on some of the dates it was like a 2-day networking event. So a couple of the occasions it was a 2-day networking event, and other times it's like a 1-day. So you might charge less for the 1 day, or it might be in different sort of quality of venues. So you might have to charge more for some of them than others because the venue is more expensive. Maybe the lunch is better. So you might charge different amounts, or you might have an event date that's just really not booking that well, and so you want to make it a bit cheaper. It might be cheaper in different regions, that sort of thing. So you've got quite a lot of control over pricing. You can set it at the event level or the event date level. For the sake of this particular situation, we've only got 1 date at the moment, and it's a webinar. So chances are you're going to charge the same amount every time you run this webinar. So we're going to set our payment structure at the event level. So we're going to click on the payment tab up here and then do that next. But otherwise, we would, if we want to set it for the event date, we would do it through here. The functionality is the same, so I only need to show you that once, and then you can choose how to use it. And click on payment. Okay, first you have to choose the payment options available. So I'm going to choose card holder not present, online, and request for payment. Organisation invoice is depreciated, it's not used anymore. Card holder not present means that if somebody contacts your member services team or your events booking team, they'll be able to take a card payment over the phone. Basically, they'll be able to go through this event booking journey and take a card. Online means that they're going to be asked to put in their card details when they go through a portal booking. Request for payment basically means they're going to get an invoice asking them to make a payment, so they could then pay by backs or check, something like that, or phone in with a card when they're ready. Okay, so these are sort of three typical. Often you choose all of those, but you may not want to do the request for payment option. You may just want payment to be mandatory at the time of booking. Okay, I'm just going to press save, just to keep everything ticking over and updated. And then I'm going to click here to set up prices. Okay, so I'm going to create a ticket price basically. Now you could have more than one ticket price. You could have a members and a non-members ticket price. That's really common. You could have a special pricing that's only available to your honorary members or associate members or VIP members of some kind, or maybe your senior retired members, maybe they get a special discount. There's lots of choices, and we'll kind of get into that in a little bit more as we go further down the screen. For the moment, let's just set up a non-member price. So somebody who isn't a member can still go on this course. Okay, and we can choose currency, and then we actually put in how much it is. So let's call it 50. And then we're going to choose a code. So these codes, again, they're set up elsewhere. So if you didn't have the right coding that your finance team needed, you could just choose whatever there is, save this, and then you could always go back to this if you needed to. Or hopefully you'll have those codes set up. Got a VAT code, and we're just going to leave that as price. Okay, and then press add price. Good. Okay, and then if we scroll down, we can see we have existing prices and charges. And then we've got this section here, assign prices to roles. So this is where you get to say who can have this ticket price. Now, we always want to tick admin, because that means our staff can do the admin booking journey where they book through your CRM. That's really important. Okay, and we, a lot of cases you might want to open it out to all because everybody gets the same price, or this price is available to everybody. So we're going to choose all, and obviously it's available to non-members. All should cover it anyway. Everybody has access to that pricing. Okay, and then we're just going to press update price roles. Okay, and then you can see here, that's been saved. So that information's been saved. So let's add another one now. So scroll back up to the top, and then let's put member price. And members get this cheaper, so they're going to get this at £30. And again, we've got our coding, which we have to choose. Okay, and then choose add price. Okay, and now I've got a second ticket price. I have member price here. So again, I need to say who can get this. So admin has access to it, so they can do that event booking journey through the CRM, admin booking journey. And then we also are opening out to members. These members, let's give them access to it as well. So these are like portal user roles, contact portal roles. So these would need to be set up in your system already. So if you don't have the ones you want, it might be worth speaking to your system administrator about that, because there's a few steps to make that happen. Okay, so now you should have the pricing you need. You may want to add other prices. You can add other pricing options at a later date anyway. And what you'll notice is that this is actually opened up as a separate tab. So I can close that now. I pressed update price rolls. That all should be saved. I can close that, and then I'm kind of gone back to my main payment screen. And if I just wanted to double check to make sure my prices had saved, I just press that again. Scroll down, I can see they are there. That's good. Okay, discounts again. We can these need to be kind of set up somewhere else, and again covered in that advanced setup manual. But here we get to choose the ones that are already available. We can add them to our particular event. So let's just we're not allowing any discounts, but we could allow one of choice of discounts to be attached to this particular event. Okay, so warning: enabling or disabling a discount for an event will apply the setting for each date, overriding any previous settings. In other words, if you launch or allow the discounts here, then that will apply to all of your event dates. So just be aware of that. So it's worth just checking to see what's been ticked, because we had some discounts there that were actually applied automatically, and that's just how they've been set up. So you press save, and that should all be done now. Okay, so categories I'm not really going to dwell on too much. It depends really how your events system has been sort of designed, in terms of, when I say your event system, your events area of your portal has been designed, whether or not sort of categories actually will show up there. But if I just press load categories here, you can see some options on this particular training site. So I press load categories, and I press this little plus here, and it sort of starts to sort of populate. So obviously these are kind of test records, but you can attach categories, and those categories could be sort of searchable. So if you've got lots and lots and lots of different events, it allows people to kind of get to the events they want. It is something that you'd need to speak to your systems administrator about if that hadn't been kind of set up for you already. Now next we're going to come on to emails. Now these are covered in more detail in the communications guide. They are also covered in the intermediate guide. But just to give you an idea, so you can actually choose a template if you have one set up, and that will then mean that you don't, if you have good templates set up, that you don't have to constantly update these areas. However, it might be that every time you do a new event, you do want to put in sort of dedicated information about that event that would go out in the form of an email. So what they are is confirm email, and again you can use the tooltips just to double check. This is an email that will go out to the person booking, who's made the booking, so maybe just for themselves, or maybe for themselves and some other people, or maybe just actually for some other people, but the person who's made the booking, and it will go out to them if the event doesn't have a charge or is paid in full. So in other words, there's nothing to pay, and so that would confirm that they're definitely booked on that event. They're 100% confirmed. So your confirm email might be something like, thank you for booking on this event. You will be sent joining instructions 1 week before the event date. Probably you're going to write something a bit different than that, but this is where you would put in that confirm email. And once again, we have an editor. So if I just press the editor button, okay, and then you get into exactly the same sort of editor system as before, except if I just scroll down, you have these options here: common placeholders and delegate only placeholders. I'm just going to click on them to open them up. So placeholders are like merge fields if you're used to using those, and they allow you to sort of pull in some information from the booking or from the event details into these emails, so that they're like richer and more useful, and just provide that sort of more personal and provide more information. So you could have things like, dear let's say, let's find the name. So you could have like dear first names. Let's see if we can go to Booker. So Booker title you've got. And then you do have to scroll down quite a lot sometimes to find them. So Booker title, and then you should have like Booker last name, Booker first name. Here we go. This is just like a tiny example. Again, the communications guide will go into this in more detail. So dear, and then Booker first name. Thank you for booking on this event. Okay, and so if we just scroll down here, you've got things like you've got merge fields, which will give you details of when the event is. So when it starts, when it finishes. You have merge fields that show you the price before discount, which VAT is on it, all of those sorts of things. So really, there is an awful lot of choice there in terms of placeholders allowing you to create a very personalized message. So that's the confirm email. The join email we've mentioned before. It's the email that goes out with kind of what happens on the day type instructions. So where to go, where to sign in, all that sort of thing. What's going to happen? That's your join email. And your registered email is similar to the confirm email, except it goes out to the event booker if they still owe some money, basically. So maybe you're not 100% confirming them because they haven't paid. So you're saying something like, thank you for your interest. Thank you for registering. We've sent you an invoice. Please, could you pay it within 30 days? Then we can confirm your place. So the place is reserved. It is booked for them, but you may want to put across the message that you require payment before you can confirm it 100%. So that's why your registered email is different than your confirm email. You can, of course, copy and paste and then edit if you've got very similar information. And obviously you've got your editor, etc. Okay, it's really important to remember to save especially if you've done an awful lot of work. Now, if you don't want to put in information from scratch every time, there's a process of you can use templates, and there's also a way that if you don't use a template and you don't put anything in, then information for these communications will come from your default company communication setup. So again, this is all covered in that communication manual. So you can have templates that you use, or you can just have default company emails that go out for every single event. It's most likely that you're either going to use templates, so all your webinars maybe have the same sort of template, perhaps, or you'll set it up per event type. So you'll actually set it up each time for the event. So do play around with it and have a practice with these different placeholders, these merge fields. Okay, so moving on to public and private. So just going to press update there. Okay, so I've moved on to the public tab next. Okay, and so basically these files will be displayed on the main events page. Everybody gets to see them. So they could be something like a bio of your keynote speaker. They could be something about the conference venue or the event venue. They could be like testimonials for people that have attended that event before. So anything really that, it will be a PDF, it will be images, where there's lots and lots of information. You can't really fit that all onto the website, onto the web page. Maybe you want them to be able to download it and print it off and stuff like that. So they're those sorts of files. If I click on private, these will not be displayed on the main events page. They'll be kind of added to your event, and they're issued with joining instructions, but they're not available unless people have actually, they are actually going. So I just press add file, show you what happens next. Okay, so you could put you're going to put a file name and a description. So the file name might be something like venue map, description would be map to the Silver Bear venue, and then you press browse and then you choose that file from your system. Okay, so I found a venue map, so I've attached that there, and then I'm just going to press add. Great. Okay, and then that's now attached that. So, and I could add further items if I wanted to, further documents, further PDFs and things like that, and photographs. Okay, so I'm going to just go on to press save, of course, and then I'm going to click on templates. Okay, so what this concerns is the form that the booking process shows. So when you go through the booking process, you might choose things like for your delegates, which might just be yourself, or it might be for more than one person. Things like whether they have dietary requirements, whether they have access requirements, that sort of thing. And there's a form that they complete. So you'll almost always have like a default form, and that might have been customized for you before you go live. You may have other forms that you can choose. If there are other forms available, then you'd press on that cross, and then you could add a new one. And here you can only add one if it already exists on your system. So if you can see here where it says select delegate template form, we always have to have a delegate template form. We've actually only got one to choose from anyway, so we have to go back to our default one. However, it might be that other forms are set up available, so you might have a different form for a different sort of event perhaps. So again, they're covered in the module, the advanced setup module. Okay, a lot of cases you possibly just want to stick with your default one anyway. Let's go to overrides. It's just a couple of kind of additional options that have been put on this extra tab here, which allows you to these are to do with kind of disabling certain functions. So this one disables the ability for the event booker to add new contacts during a booking journey. So in other words, kind of add brand new people that aren't already on your CRM. And there is some functionality on the system that allows people to kind of search for contacts who are attached to their organization. You can, to add to the booking, you can disable that if you choose to here. So let's just save and close that now. Now our event is not live yet. So if we just go back to our events overview page, if we can see here, it's dormant at the moment. We're not confident in launching it yet because we haven't tested it. Maybe we need it to get it approved by like the events director. So we don't. It's not going to appear on your system, on your portal, available to book yet. What we can do though is we can do a couple of tests. So we can kind of go and have a look and see what this event looks like. Okay, so first of all, we can test that it's actually like you can go through a booking process for it. So let's do that now. Okay, so we're going to do what we call an admin booking journey. So I'm just going to go into contact record for me. And then hopefully you'll be familiar with this already. You can click on the three dots at the end of the command bar and choose add to booking queue. Okay, and then we get to choose our event date. Okay, so marketing with Silver Bear date. You see here, I just clicked on that little downward arrow just to confirm it's the one I want. Yes, it is. Okay, so I've chosen the event date, and then I don't want to add any other delegates. I'm just going to save that, and then I'm going to press book now. So click on the three little dots up there and choose book now. Okay, and then what happens is I get thrown into one of these Evokos style booking screens. So I'm following the same kind of process that my clients would go through if they went through the portal booking journey. So it's basically the same thing. So it gives me an idea straight away whether or not my event is kind of working. There's some screens I'm not seeing, of course, though. So we'll discuss that shortly. So the booking contact is Susanna Patrick. Are they attending? Yes. And then we can choose different addresses if necessary. And then we're going through the admin booking journey here. So we'd be talking to the person at the end of the phone if they're booking and finding out what they want to do. Okay, and we're going to we have options of members or non-members prices. This is a member price we're going to offer here. And so it seems to be working so far. It's all coming up, so that's all good. Okay, if they had a discount code, maybe we could apply that there. And we're going to choose request for payment. We're going to send out an invoice. Okay. So obviously, if we complete this, that is actually going to create a real booking on the system. So just bear that in mind. So when you're doing your test, you might want to do it for like your own test record, of course, if you're working in live. And then you'd probably want to go and delete that booking afterwards. So you might not want to actually go through the point of completing it at this stage. You might just want to kind of go through the motions and just make sure it all looks okay. I'm just going to press complete booking, and then we get this message here. So this message here, thank you for booking this event. We can't wait to see you. This is a default sort of booking confirmation on screen message that is actually set up in your system, and again covered in that communication guide. Okay, so I'm just going to go back into CRM. Okay, so that going on that admin booking journey for me confirmed that the event all worked, so that's good. But I want to have a look at it sort of kind of as a customer would see it, so I'm going to do that as well. So I'm going to go to events control. Okay, and then I'm just going to go to my marketing with Silver Bear event. Okay, and then so I'm in events work area, events control. I'm going to choose options next to my event that I'm interested in, and then I'm going to choose booking page. So now I'm viewing the event the way my customers would view it. The eagle-eyed amongst you might notice I've actually changed the date, because I realised that, of course, my date was in the past, so I was getting a message about booking wasn't available anymore. So I'm going to accept the terms and conditions to book. And then from here, I'd go on a very similar journey to the admin booking journey. So it's something that you'd want to work through to make sure that you it all looked correct and everything was working as you expected it to. And obviously, when your event goes live, you're possibly also going to want to do the same thing as well. Go straight onto the live site and then actually kind of work through a booking process and maybe actually complete it and make sure that the emails are going out to you as expected. It's something that you might want to consider doing. So if you had carried out that test booking, and again, if you're, obviously if you're doing this live, make sure that you're only you're doing it with a sort of test record only. Then you would want to go in and cancel that booking afterwards. And cancelling bookings is covered in the introductory module of this course. So that's in the PDF for the introductory section. Okay, thank you very much.